So I have my guest in the studio this morning, and Dr. Clementa Park is a member of parliament for Bulsa South, and he's in the studio. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Roland.
All right.
I thought you were going to say my middle name, Abasinab. So that the Bulsers would they will appreciate the tutorials I've been giving you. Soliwa, response to Lunalo.
And also, Emmanuel Chenatinga Japo is also in the studio, member of parliament for Yawaso West Logan. Thanks for joining me, sir.
Thank you for having me, Roland.
All right.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And to Dr. Park.
Yes, my good friend. I forgot to greet you.
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, yeah. We'll see how that goes. As far as that is. Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, we have to start with you.
Very well.
The police are continuing their investigations into the murder of the late Army Captain Maxwell Mahama, Captain Maxwell Mahama, and gruesome murder, would you just say?
Gruesome murder. Gruesome murder.
Has shaken the nation all over, from the president to the last baby.
It's a matter that we should not even be talking about. I think that in the Bible, in the Old Testament, something happened, and those that know the Bible very well, there's a verse, I think it's in Samuel or somewhere. Tell it not in Gilead. Don't lest the uncircumcised will hear and laugh at us. This is gruesome, almost barbaric. I can't see how a human being at 8:30 in the morning will accost somebody and do this. You know, I believe that it is only God who gives life. It is only God who can take away life. Maybe it is my libertarian notions, but I don't believe anybody has any right to take away anybody's life. But you see, Roland, I would want to venture into maybe an uncharted path this morning. But let's have a debate on it. I don't believe that anybody in his right frame of mind will do this to another person. That is my carefully considered view.
But how do you mean?
Maybe we should have a debate. Maybe we should investigate. I am beginning to think that people will do this only under the influence of some substance. It could be alcohol, it could be drugs. And we need to begin to look into things like this.
But was this not a mob action?
Mob action.
They were rallied around.
Yeah.
And so
you see, Roland,
you can't even say the women and etc. were all, because even the women etc. they all participated in the activity.
I don't have the courage to look at the video. I will not look at it. When I came in here, they offered to play it to me. I refused. Roland, but the pictures I have seen, I saw a woman, was it bad, doing something, right? Standing on this man, helpless man, dying or dead man, either lightening a match or pouring. Are you saying that women won't get involved in this? Look, I am only throwing it out there into the public domain. Let us begin to look into it. I state for a matter of fact that normal engaged people will not be this gross, brutal and callous. My carefully considered view is that they most probably will do this under some influences. And I think that we are allowing a drug use epidemic in this country. Maybe we are being overcome by something like this. People are not too engaged. People are not. I mean, this thing happened at 9:30. You think that if people had to go to work, if work starts at 8 o'clock and you were engaged, You called a mob at 9 o'clock and everybody was there. They didn't have work to do. They didn't have the farm to go to. They were not teachers. They were not nurses. They were not drivers driving their car.
It's easier for us to say because we live in Accra.
I am throwing it out there. It is either we have crisis staring in our face. People are underemployed. People are and
the devil is finding work for them.
Yes.
I don't have.
And because they are underemployed, they just sit and drink and probably smoke something.
But where was the lack of where was discretion before you even take a decision to go into an action like this? Because you need to make a judgment.
That is why I am saying when you are talking about discretion, you are talking about judgment. When you want to exercise discretion, when you want to exercise judgment, you need a certain sobriety. You need certain clarity.
So you are saying it could have been impaired by?
I am certain. I will put my bottom dollar on this matter. I say that I believe that all of those guys were impaired. I am not making an excuse for them at all, but I am saying that this may be the tip of an iceberg. We may be probably facing a huge crisis here. Look at. I have a friend who is an accident and emergency specialist, and he was telling me they did a random sample of drivers, and the levels of alcohol and drugs,
other narcotics,
yes, was
extremely high.
Was disconcerting.
Perhaps we were taking shocker. They didn't know.
What's a shocker, though?
You live in East Legon.
Okay. Is there something in? I need to find out.
No, it's not in East
Legon.
So, it's not in East Legon.
He knows things.
He knows things. There are things. Well, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I think
it is alcohol spiced with extracted weed.
Oh yeah. I hear about it every day.
I can give you for you to taste some. It's not,
Roland, I will report you to the CID. You are breaking the law.
No, in the US, it's not against it.
But we are not in the US. We are in Ghana.
But there's no evidence that I took it.
But you are saying you can give me.
Nole prosequa.
Anyway, but first and foremost, look, I don't know what is happening to the man's wife and his children. And if he has a father.
His father, yes, he has. A retired army captain.
If he has a father.
The vice president visited them yesterday.
If he has a father, what will happen to him? I mean, how old is he? How old is a gentleman?
I think he's in his 30s also, mid-30s.
Yeah, I think so.
You see, it could easily have been my son. It could easily have been my nephew. Easily. And we must not allow. Look, I completely agree. I hear the president has said that we must not allow this young, gallant officer's death to be in vain. I think we must do everything. We must bring all the coercive power of state to arrest all of those guys. I would wish that their trial will be on TV for everybody. It must become an example to everybody that this nation will not tolerate this foolishness. Somebody must do something drastic to stop this. People, all of us are becoming so lawless. All of us. We jump the red lights. They cross you in traffic, and when you say they insult you, lawlessness. Lawlessness.
Oh,
look at where we have carried it to. I want to tell the wife, the mom, the brothers and the sisters, most heartfelt sympathy, most heartfelt. You know, anybody says it's nothing, it's not true. I am distraught.
Everybody.
I am distraught.
The whole country.
How do we allow this thing to happen?
Look,
those guys must be apprehended. They must stand trial. They must be sentenced to death. Of course, I have stated, I am libertarian. I don't believe we have a right, a man has a right to take, but they must languish in jail, those guys.
And he talked about lawlessness, etc. Well, we've had arguments about, we've had more than many incidents to give us the red light or the warning that we should have done something and be more preemptive than we have been.
Yes, Roland, thank you for inviting me to the table of men, because I believe this issue certainly is not for boys. But I am glad that Honorable has hit the nail right on the head. It is clear, and as you've indicated, that lawlessness and impunity seem to be winning the day. And indeed, there are telltale signs. So in as much as we can look at this specific act of wickedness, an act of barbarism, we must also necessarily look at it within a broader context as part of putting in place the needed measures to prevent these types of occurrences. When you live in a society where fringe elements, deviance, and every society has deviance. That is why we have rules. That is why we have institutions. To prevent the few in society who are deviants, who would refuse to do what is right for whatever reason, to be reined in so that the rest of us who have pledged to do what is right and proper for the forward march and evolution progressively of society can go about our activities without fear or favor. But when the deviants begin to feel that they can get away with acts of lawlessness, this is what happens. But let's look at the context within which this sad event occurred. A military officer is assigned to head a detachment as part of a national effort to save ourselves from the negative repercussions of illegal gold mining. He has been stationed there from the report so far for 3 weeks. And naturally, as an active captain, he must always exercise to make sure that physically and mentally he is fit and alert to execute the mandate that we, the people, have given him to undertake on our behalf. And then, as the story goes, which I find very suspicious because the narrative simply doesn't make sense. First of all, I would also bet my last penny on anyone who tells me that a military officer, a captain stationed in a particular environment, would not know his way around. I mean, we all know. Per their training, they do recce. They have to know the surrounding. For 3 weeks, and you are telling me that a captain didn't know his route for jogging and had to stop and ask for directions? Please. And then we hear that it was on the basis of suspicion of him being an armed robber because apparently some robbery had taken place in the town a few days earlier, which then caused the women to raise alarm. And of all the people, an assemblyman is alleged to have rallied the mob to attack and brutally kill such a patriotic young soldier who was only there to serve his nation in broad daylight. To be honest with you, I actually feel that this was premeditated.
By this time, it was just around.
That is it. I feel it is premeditated for obvious reasons. First of all, the story about the woman seeing the gun and it doesn't add up. I don't believe that the Captain Mahama didn't know, his jogging route. I don't believe that. And worst of all, the assemblyman who then rallies people to come and attack him at the time that they did quite clearly presupposes that it was organized. And I wouldn't be surprised because we all know and we've been saying that this fight against Galamsey is a very dangerous fight.
Why?
Because the type of interest groups, the unseen faces benefiting from the pillaging and destruction of our land, our water bodies, and our forests will not stop at anything to protect the evil that they are perpetrating against the people of this country. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, think about it. Somebody has been brought to prevent them from doing what they believe they have the right to do. Some even claim that it is their livelihood. Why do you think that they would find him to be an ally? So definitely the context in itself gives credence to those who are making the case that the story doesn't add up and that this was all premeditated to ensure that those who are there to protect them, protect the lands and the rivers and the forests, get the message that they should be prepared for this type of fight. But be as it may, we have heard that some arrests have been made. And of course, we expect that the law will take its course. I mean, the minority, we issued a statement condemning this act of barbarism. But we also took the opportunity to remind government and the president, because the president has the responsibility of ensuring that we live in a united, stable, peaceful, and orderly country.
And who said the president is not ensuring that alongside his ministers?
If these things happen, obviously there is a lapse somewhere. And as you said, the acts of lawlessness have become one too many. We said that in our statement. And people what
string of activities can you cite to give an indication
it's
of a state of lawlessness?
It is obvious. I mean, first of all, we remember the attack of Nanka Bruce at the Flagstaff House. The perpetrator apparently has disappeared, has not been found. We know of the Delta Force situation where, you know, they were standing trial for assaulting the president's own regional security coordinator. And they had the brazen courage to raid a courtroom, mob action, and free their colleagues who were standing trial. We know the stories of the Kandahar boys in Tamale. Just, I think, a day before yesterday, they were there to attack the EDIF office and shut it down. And we also know what happened with the invisible forces. So you can see that people are feeling a lot more emboldened to take the law into their own hands. And whilst this is extreme, in general terms, these are all acts of impunity and lawlessness, where people feel that they are now the law. And what they are opposed to shouldn't happen. What they want should prevail. So the minority, we have condemned this. We have also sympathized with the family. The father, you know, information was that the mother was domiciled in London and should be coming down. I heard the late captain's father speak on another network. And we have also sympathized with the Ghana Armed Forces and the military high command. And we have appreciated them for restraining themselves. I mean, you and I know that, you know, you are talking about men among men. If they hadn't restrained themselves, I think that we have to give the men and women of the Ghana Armed Forces a lot of credit for restraining themselves in the face of this needless and wanton act of destruction of a human life. But at the end of the day, we expect our state institutions and we expect government, the commander-in-chief.
Why is it that you seem to be bringing the president?
But Roland, what else do you expect me to do? The buck stops with the president.
Mr. Chamanteja, and following that, we've had even Mr. Siedun Ketia, who is the General Secretary of the NDC, come to make some statements about the president needs to resign, etc., almost leading to a politicization of an issue or a subject that ideally should not be.
I think it's concert. I think it's a joke. I think the General Secretary of the NDC, he's just engaged in theatrics. Is that how you say it?
Yes, theatrics is right.
I think he's just
the word is right. I don't agree with you, but the word is right.
I think the General Secretary of the party is, you know, it is unfortunate that we will use a situation like this to act in this way. It is so mischievous, it is not funny. But let me state that if you go to the CID and look at crime statistics, there is every indication that crime is going down. Look, I want to separate. Let us make a clear distinction between criminality and politics. From time immemorial, people have, under the guise of politics, perpetrated criminality. And it has been worse under NDC. Worse.
How?
Starting from we don't go sit down days.
That wasn't NDC.
Oh, your forebears.
But Kufuor was part of it.
Oh, you're funny.
So we are going to go back into history.
You're funny,
but
Doctor.
You know Kufuor served under the PNDC.
You're very funny on this matter, Dr.
But you know it's true.
You understand? We must make a very clear distinction. And you see, as politicians, we should not condone anything like this.
I agree.
We must make a clear distinction between criminality and politics. If people under the guise of politics want to perpetrate criminality, we should not cover them with the cloak of politics.
I agree.
I completely disagree. If it was Azwaka boys who did it, it is wrong. If it is Kandahar boys who will do it, it is wrong. If it is Delta forces who will do it, it is wrong. Look, this business of political vigilantism, we must not encourage it. Boko Haram in Nigeria started that way. Let's not politicize this. Some terrible act like this has happened, and you are comparing it to Delta forces. You are comparing it to Kandahar. You are comparing it to Azwaka boys. Guys, let's make a clear distinction.
But Honorable, we are talking about acts of lawlessness and impunity.
But
we are not equating the events.
Yeah, but you see.
But it's the mindset.
But you see, I can completely agree. Acts of lawlessness. Some of it had political undertones. Let's not extend it to this particular case.
But they gave a string of events. That's why. Well, let's change the subject.
But I am saying
the minority
is trying to create the impression that there is a state of lawlessness. It is not true. Roland, when you finish your program, send your producer to go and take statistics, data from the CID. Generally, the trend is that crime is going down. Some acts under the guise of politics may be happening, but let us make a clear distinction and let all of us as politicians rise against it.
Okay.
Roland, I will agree. Go and check with the CID, because I certainly cannot take what he's saying as a fact.
Yeah.
You remember the brazen robbery attack in Tatali as well, not long ago, where at least it's reported that some natives, I think about 4 and 2 of the robbers died. I mean, broad daylight. Even in my own area, Bulsa South, Bulsa North, robberies are happening in ways that we have never experienced.
Are you saying that
lawlessness?
Are you saying that a year ago there were no robberies, there was no cattle wrestling?
Crimes have occurred, even in the so-called advanced countries with all of their technology and data collection. We all saw what happened in Manchester.
The finance
right?
Minister.
So the point I'm making is that I would also want to know the crime rate from January 7th, 2017 till date, and compare that to January 7th, 2016 to the same time.
But
and I can guarantee
the finance minister
that crime
has been summoned by Parliament to answer questions relating to the 2.25 billion bond issue recently, and we would want to hear from the spokesperson on finance for the minority in Parliament, Ato Kisil Forsen.
The use of proceeds, as the minister responsible for finance made it known to the public, he was categorical. He said, indeed, that the proceeds will be used for the purposes of switching short-term domestic instrument. And when we say short-term domestic instrument, we are making reference to 91 days treasury bonds and 182 days treasury bonds. Currently, treasury bonds as of 17th of April is traded, 91 days is traded at 16.35%. The 182 days treasury bond is traded at 16.70%. But what surprises me is that the finance minister decided to go for a long-term debt of 19.75% to switch off a debt of 16.35%. In fact, his actions is willfully causing financial loss to the state. From the calculations, it's clear that Ghana would be better off if we had decided to roll over the existing treasury bonds, which is being traded at 16.35%, instead of going for 19.75%. From the calculations, Ghana will be better off with $330 million if he had not decided to go off on this tangent. In fact, in a year, Ghana would have saved $330 million. So for 15 years running, Ghana will be better off saving approximately 5 billion Ghana cedis, which is in excess of $1 billion. That is why we are saying that he has willfully caused financial loss to the state. I was surprised to hear from the finance minister at the policy briefing. I listened to it myself. The Minister for Finance was saying that he is making a savings of 612 million Ghana cedis as a result of this bond. I don't see where the savings is coming from. In fact, he's not making savings. He's rather causing this country a financial loss. But the argument they will put across is that they are trying to avoid rollover risk. In fact, you agree with me that the Treasury bond at 91 days and 182 days, there are diverse investors, hundreds, thousands. You and I, anytime you have your money and you want to invest it somewhere, you decide to use it to buy Treasury bonds. So the chances that you will roll over is higher than one single investor at any point in time deciding not to roll over or deciding to get out of your market. So that is why I'm saying that concentration risk, in my opinion, is more severe and more serious than the rollover risk. So that argument, I will not buy it. They should come and come again. Thank you very much.
Keselatu Forson, minorities spokesperson on finance. And Dr. Park, as a result of that, you're summoning the finance minister to come to the House?
Yes, Roland, that is indeed true.
Why?
Because as a responsible minority, we owe it to ourselves and the good people of Ghana to get clarity if and when we have reason to believe that certain pieces of information have not been made available to us and by extension the good people of Ghana on this $2.25 billion bond that the government of the day has floated, to which one company, by and large, acquired over 95% of it. Mm-hmm. So we want the details, and we want to know whether proper processes and procedures were followed, who are the beneficiaries. Well, one documentation. Well, our argument has been simple. We never said that government doesn't have the right to float a bond. But the processes and the procedure is what has caused us to believe that there has been an attempt for specific groups to benefit from this bond. And I'm going to be very blunt and clear. We all know the processes and procedure by which a bond of this nature is floated. Even the time frame allowed for interested parties to bid raise questions. How do you open a bid on a bond of this magnitude for only 4 hours? Well, indeed, from the checks that I have made, and indeed when the Deputy Governor for the Bank of Ghana appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, I remember the chair of the committee had sought not to allow for any question bordering on the bond to come up. But very intelligently, a colleague posed a question which then elicited a response about the time. And it was very clear that the 4 hours is unheard of. It is a minimum of 2 days and a maximum of 2 weeks. So even the time
is that stipulated in law? It's just the norm.
Within the context.
It's not just a norm.
why would the governor of the Bank of Ghana say it? If
Well,
that was the case?
I listened to him. I didn't watch him. I listened
So
to
there's
him.
a problem there.
Yeah, he said the usual thing.
Why the hurry?
The usual, if something is the usual, and we have something that is undertaken
So
like that,
why shouldn't this be the usual?
because something does not conform.
Is it
it
the
means
first
that
time that
it is illegal,
is it the first time that a bond has been floated?
or it is suspicious,
What of this? How come that only one company procured
or
in
it is
excess of
fraudulent?
95%?
Now I should be asking you that.
Yes, these are the questions we want to hear. We want to know
What's wrong with
how
that?
many companies bid it.
I'm told the gentleman.
We haven't seen
it's
that
not,
information.
It's not. This is not the first time he's participating in any
That is not our point of contention.
any capital market
That is
transaction
not our
in
point
Ghana.
of contention. Because if that argument is what we are going to use, then we would expect that the same processes and procedure.
No, it's not about an argument. I'm
not saying. I'm giving you the other side of the coin. Then it should be the same processes and procedure. Why is it that this time it is different? So we want to know the number of companies that bid it, why only one company procured in excess of 95%, the connectivity between that company and the Minister for Finance. We know there is a link.
How?
Between Templeton and indeed Enterprise Group.
How?
How? Because they are business associates. It is no secret. It is no secret. We are actually suspecting insider trading.
Okay, so
we
that is
are suspecting insider
so
trading.
go straight ahead.
We believe that the processes were done in secrecy.
Trade secrets were traded.
Skewed to favor an interest because Enterprise Group is joined at the hip, and therefore the proceeds to be gained from this bond, which the interest alone in the 15 years is going to be slightly less than $6 billion.
Ghana
So
cedis.
$6 billion.
Really?
Yes, we've done the math. Annually, the interest, I think the interest is 19.25 or so. Annually, it's going to be about 450 million per annum, the interest. So if you calculate that.
For an anthropologist, you seem to be calculating very well.
Well, I wasn't too bad at maths.
Okay.
Most certainly, I was doing art maths before I broke my leg. And then I was delayed for 2 years, so I had to drop art maths and do commerce. So, you know, I'm fairly reasonable when it comes to figure.
You can do the integration and the differentiation. And
at the end of the day, cumulatively, when the 15 years is up, Ghana is going to pay just slightly below $9 billion. Is it worth it?
Is it not 6 billion?
No, that is the interest. I'm adding the principal, the 2.25. So we need to get to the bottom of this. We don't want to be shortchanged. We want the facts to be made bare. We want to scrutinize all of the processes, and we want documentation.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
this is simply what
Mr. Chairman, we're being shortchanged according to the minority. The finance minister, apparently, according to the minority, seemed to be having some dealings going on and may have perhaps hinted his financial friends to have a bite. Apparently, it was a big bite. 95%, you said.
Yes, I think it's almost about 97.
I think that Dr. Apak finally let the cat out of the bag.
But we have always let the cat out of the bag.
You see, the problem they have is that they think that somebody is making a fat, big kill out of this.
It's exactly what we are saying. It's not.
Oh, I didn't.
This is our argument.
Okay, and that Franklin Templeton is inextricably intertwined with Enterprise, a company called Enterprise.
Yeah, I actually think they are Siamese.
So I thought they would have gone
Franklin
straight ahead.
Templeton is organization.
First, yes, I know. It's a big one there. First and foremost, I want to ask. As for me, I don't know. I've done too much school. Is this the first time Franklin Templeton is engaging in any bond issue in this country? When you people were in government, and they were buying and shoring up your economy, you did not see that it was joined at the hip with enterprise. When you were selling bonds, CD bonds, they were bringing the dollars and you were selling CD bonds to them at 26%. When it was your government and you were selling bonds, same bonds to them, CD bonds, at the time, all the rating agencies had downgraded us. And this was not a good market, but Franklin Templeton would take the risk and buy your almost junk bonds and you pay him 26%. As for that one, they were not linked, inextricably intertwined with enterprise.
It still has those investments there, right?
Yes, it is some of those investments. It is those CD investments that you people paid 26%. Let me state categorically that we have not borrowed new money. All we have done is to refinance at a lower interest. You guys took the money at 26%.
Lower interest.
And we are saying that
a longer period.
Let us bring it down to 19.5% over a longer period. So we can create some space, some fiscal space, so that they can make the road from Wa to Hamili.
It's in the budget.
Oh, I am only using it. I am only using it because it will benefit him tremendously.
You should be talking about Fumbisi then.
And we will rework the Fumbisi Valley project, irrigation project. That you in the last 8 years is not working. You need fiscal space. You have borrowed and we are suffocating. The water level is at our nose. A sensible government must work and create fiscal space so that we can go and reconstruct Fumbisi Valley project, so that the people in Fumbisi can go back and have irrigated lands to farm rice. As for you, you know, my all-time favorite musician is Daddy Lumba. He sang a song that I like very much. In the tree, he says, to which, because if it is you will do, you think that as for me, it is the same thing I will do. That guy sit down and tell all the calculations he's doing is wrong. They are applying a 19.5 on a dollar. We are applying a 19.5 on a CD. You know, but because when it was their time, they were doing it. They think that everybody is like them. You borrowed money for this country at 26%. We have gone out there and reduced it by almost 7 percentage points. You should be applauding us and clapping for us. You should be applauding us and telling the good people of this country that this is a good government.
Who should say? The NDC or the minority should be saying it.
You should be applauding us. You borrowed recklessly.
But realistically, the issues they are raising.
Yeah.
If you look at the scenarios and the indicators.
Yes.
Okay. They said the finance minister's wife is a director for Enterprise Group.
Yes.
Okay. It is
in 2012 and 2013
it is marginally owned, or a company for which the finance minister was an executive founder.
Yeah.
For which is now an ex-director of that company, has just a little over 30% shares in that company.
Okay.
For which also a director of Franklin Templeton is an ex-official director. It's a non-executive director.
Maybe he's
a non-executive director of Enterprise Group. And on that same board, the finance minister's wife is serving as a director. In that same company, a company that the finance minister was a founder is having a 32% interest in that company. if you put two and two together,
Yeah.
you look at the board mass and everything. Sometimes you can speculate.
It's okay to speculate. I don't have a problem.
You can put two and two together and speculate that.
In any case, Roland.
I'm sure not be you.
In any case,
That's
Roland, they
why
have
we
taken.
need the clarity.
But you guys have taken the matter all the way to Security and Exchange Commission in America.
It is a serious issue.
Yeah,
And
so-
we are going to deploy every single legitimate avenue to make sure
The guys have
that
taken
the right
it
thing
to
is
the
done.
ultimate
But
regulator
That's
in the
right.
world, the Security and Exchange Commission in America. So
and,
why
that,
are you
and,
sta-
and the
I mean,
accusation is for insider trading because
yes.
that's illegal.
So why are you stepping back? I mean, if you take that, if you
I
in
guess
America,
they're
they'll tell
fighting-
it,
I guess
it's
they're-
a federal case. Why do you want to come to the? Why do you want to come to the local sheriff?
We are not stepping back.
Why do you want to come to the
We
local
are
sheriff?
only deploying all the avenues available to us.
My dear friend, Dr. Park,
If this,
my
if
dear
this
friend,
issue
my dear friend,
had, there was nothing to it,
Let me state.
why did the Council of State invite
It is
our
not
representative for a meeting?
for over what?
I know for a fact that
No,
they did.
The Council of State has come out to
To
say
say
that
it did
they
not.
have never engaged anybody on
And
this
the
matter.
engagement is different from being invited for a meeting. They
That,
did
that,
invite
that,
them
that
for
was
a
the
meeting.
attempt to invite.
They did.
They did.
They
did
invited them for a meeting.
Relax. Did they invite you?
No, I'm not part of the
Leadership.
front line. And as far as this
Why,
issue
why
is
the
concerned,
Council of State has come out to state categorically.
It doesn't
but you
mean
see,
that they didn't invite-
the Roland.
they didn't invite
Roland,
outside for
the
a meeting.
things you are asking. Let me also find out. Is it today that
The director from Franklin Temple.
yeah? Is it? Did
Well,
it happen
well,
after the 7th of January?
Wait, you're asking whether is it today
Yeah.
that the director from Franklin Temple,
Or that you are saying-
who is a non-executive director
Yeah.
of Enterprise,
Yeah.
and who is also sitting on that same board with
Yeah.
the wife of the finance.
Yeah, is it
Is it the
today-
first time that he's?
If-
No, it's not the first time.
Assume-
But
assuming
they were
without
never
admitting.
connected
But-
to
but-
the former
Assuming
finance
without
okay.
admitting.
But it-
Assuming without
No, sir.
admitting.
So it's not the first time. But
Assuming without admitting that
but
it is
then
true.
immediately the finance minister
Yeah.
becomes the finance minister.
It changes the dynamics.
That, it
Assuming
doesn't,
without
paints a
admitting.
different picture. Then.
So, as for me, all
That
I'm
is-
saying is that in the past, when the NDC used to take money from Franklin Templeton, wasn't the finance minister, like you say, I don't know for a fact, wasn't he a 30% owner of the company?
Yes, he was.
Wasn't he the founding father of the company?
Of the company that has the interest. Yes.
Wasn't
He
his
was.
wife sitting on the board?
Yes, she was.
All of that is
Okay.
fine.
Yes.
If you
And
were
the
the
NDC,
finance minister, they wouldn't have been a
They are
problem.
saying that under NDC that's okay.
I
But
am-
immediately he becomes the finance
That is
minister and the
it.
MPP. He becomes a,
Very
because
well.
then
That is
Are
not
we-
a
are
conflict
we
of
setting-
he's
interest.
in line with the supervisory status.
Are we finding out whether the wife has resigned or she's still on the board? Have we found out? In any case, as for me, I am happy for the matter to come into the public domain. I want to state without equivocation that the finance minister has nothing, absolutely nothing to fear. He's not losing any sleep at all because of this matter. The MPP is not losing any sleep at all because of this matter.
The number of emergency meetings held at the Flagstaff House on this issue.
Oh, are you?
Oh, yes.
Did they call you?
We know. You are losing a lot of sleep because you know something is not right.
We are not losing any sleep whatsoever because of this matter. Absolutely nothing. I am saying that we must be applauded.
Oh, the dynamics
We
change
must
once the
be
finance
applauded.
minister is who he is.
You guys encumbered us with a loan at an interest, short-term loans at an interest
So
of
because of that, we
27%.
shouldn't probe and ask for clarity
Ask for it.
if we have
Has
questions
anybody stopped you?
about
You
something
bought
that
a
has been
ticket.
done
You bought a ticket and went
under
to
the
America.
cover of darkness.
You
We need to know. We
But
need
I say,
exposure.
You have taken
sunlight.
it. You have taken it to the top sheriff in the world.
And we are not done yet.
Go on. Has anybody
We will
stopped
do
you?
whatever it takes to get to the bottom of
Has
this.
anybody the irony is that you take the matter to the top sheriff. You take the matter, you report the matter to the national CID. Then before we realize you
Yeah,
are
the
going to
local
the
police
local
station.
sheriff. What are you doing?
But
Oh,
there's-
come on.
there are connectivities.
Serious guys.
All of
So
these are legitimate
you went
avenues.
to Ghana Police.
I would have
CID.
thought that I would have
These
thought
are
that you
all
would
Then all of a
I
sudden,
would have thought
all of
that-
a sudden, you are East Legon CID.
I would have thought that you would have built up. You would
They
have
are all
gone to East
legitimate.
Legon CID. If it didn't work, you
There
go
is
to
a- there is a
regional.
reason
From
why-
regional, you go to national.
There is a reason why we have done that. because you know the company that procured the bulk of the bond is
it's an American.
That's what that's good reason.
Okay, so
let me tell you.
We have to tackle it
Roland,
from all angles.
let me state here and now that all these guys are trying to do is to create some discomfort for the investor community.
Why will we do that?
That is all these
you're saying
guys,
the minority has become investor non-friendly.
That is all they are trying to do.
Is that what you're saying?
We have no reason to do that.
Oh, that is all you want
we
to
have
do.
No, look,
I am stating, look,
your
already,
we're going abroad, delivering lectures,
already
debasing our economy. We haven't done that.
Already, but you see,
we haven't done that.
Go ahead and do it. Go ahead.
This is a legitimate
if you have facts, when already.
Already
interest rates are coming down. Already inflation is coming down. Currency is stabilizing. The rating agency.
The rating agency to seek redress for a matter.
Has anybody stopped?
Have concerns about.
Okay.
Has
anybody stopped you? Nobody has stopped you. But I am saying, Roland, that you see, the rating agencies, the last one, Fitch, moved us from junk to stable.
We say it is all good, but that should not negate our right to seek
all of a sudden,
redress.
all they are doing is just the politics and the propaganda.
They
are afraid.
I just want to give you one short
I don't
analogy.
have a problem.
You see, the Honorable is talking and dancing around the issue.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes, this company may have been involved in the past, rightly so. I think it's on record. They've done business. It's not the first time. But an element has been introduced that changes the dynamics. And that is because of who the finance minister is, his business interests, and his network. That changes the dynamics. Very well. If you were the finance minister,
you have raised the issues.
The dynamics would have been different.
You have raised the issues. Look, Roland, I am stating you have reported the matter to SEC.
It's also let's see the way it plays out.
You have a
Roland,
you have a motion in Parliament inviting the minister.
No, you think
the
about
minister
this.
will come.
When is the minister coming?
Think about
I don't know.
When is the
You
minister
have
coming?
reported the matter to Siraj.
He
He will send the appropriate responses.
Affairs would invite him.
So what? I am saying that
Roland,
the matter is reported to the top.
we will report it. We will go all the way
ahead
to the old man beyond the skies.
To God.
Yes.
Oh yes.
We are taking this matter very seriously.
Oh, take it seriously.
We will not relent.
Okay.
We will not waver.
Very well.
Until the truth stands. To quote the motto of Commonwealth,
Okay.
the truth must stand.
Well,
but think about it.
The truth may be contrived.
If you come to work
Your truth,
every day,
the truth may be
and
contrived.
you come through the main door, and one day your staff see you jumping in from the window. Don't you think that they will have a particular impression? What would be the reason that will cause you not to come through the door, but to come through the window?
Has anybody jumped through the window?
This is what has happened. If you say Templeton has been doing business and all of that, fair and good. Why were the processes?
Has anybody come through the window?
Processes not followed the way they have traditionally been followed. And that is my analogy of going through the door every day and deciding to jump through the window. Something is not right. And we'll get to the bottom of it.
They say this is fishy. They smell fish.
We don't smell fish.
Roland.
We smell a rotten fish.
Rotten fish.
Roland.
They smell a rotten fish.
Roland.
Smell rotten fish.
Roland.
Yes.
In fact, it's bigger than a fish.
This is a democracy.
We smell a rotten whale.
The underpinning. What underpins a democracy? What underpins a democracy is a rule of law.
I agree.
Ghana is not the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Ghana is a vibrant democracy. What underpins our democracy is a rule of law. Let us test every action, every commission or omission. Did anybody break the law? Let's go.
Well, even the Attorney General says she doesn't know about this bond.
This one said this.
Which is very
this one said this.
Doctor,
and this one said, did we? Let us test it.
Possible that
did we break? Has anybody broken a law?
Clementa Park, Dr. Clementa Park is a member of parliament for Busa South. And
Chief advisor of the
is
government
a member of parliament for Ewanso West.
Yeah.